Hi, this is Dr. David Zahaluk, and I've got some information for you on how to protect your skin from the sun this summer. Uh, UV radiation or ultraviolet radiation is of two types in the sun's rays. There's UVA rays and UVB. Now, traditionally it was thought that UVB were the ones that cause skin cancer, but UVA rays can cause skin cancer as well. There are good things that come from exposure to ultraviolet light. Particularly, you get more vitamin D production when you sweat in the sun, meaning that there's some cholesterol molecules in your skin and they get converted to vitamin D through sweating in the sun. But wrinkles and skin cancer are the other side of that. So it's key to get the proper amount of sun exposure, and most experts now are recommending no more than about 15 minutes a day. The old days of laying out in the sun with reflectors is not a good idea now. So I want to also point out that skin cancer comes in two main varieties that we think about. We think about either melanoma or non-melanoma. The reason for that is melanoma, which is a mole that has become aggressive and cancerous. Melanoma is the most aggressive type of skin cancer, and there's more cancer deaths related to melanoma than the non-melanoma types, which are mainly squamous cell and basal cell. Although those could be fatal too, just less frequently. Now, one of the biggest risk factors for skin cancer of the melanoma type is the number of severe sunburns a person has had. So it's not just cumulative sun exposure, but it's also the number of severe sunburns that go into figuring the overall risk of a patient. And so we definitely want to avoid sunburn if you can. So with that in mind, what are some guidelines that you can use for yourself and your family to avoid excessive sun exposure? Here's a few things. Number one, the peak hours for sun exposure is between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's when the sun's rays are the most strong, and that's probably a good time to avoid sun exposure, especially prolonged sun exposure. Now, protect your arms and legs by wearing long sleeve shirts and pants when you're out in the sun. It's important to choose loose fitting cotton clothes so you don't get too hot, so you don't have to change because you're uncomfortable. And also protect your eyes by wearing sunglasses that have a UV filter in them. That UV filter will help to prevent cataract formation, and it may help to prevent the formation of macular degeneration as well. Now, when you're protecting your head and your face, wear a hat that's got a wide brim to it, kind of something that comes out like this. If you just wear a ball cap, you don't protect the back of the neck or the ears, where there's a lot of skin cancers that we find. So you want to make sure you have coverage for the whole head and face by wearing a wide brimmed hat. When you choose a sunscreen or sunblock, make sure that it has both UVA and UVB coverage. I routinely recommend to my patients a product called Helioplex, which is made by Neutrogena, but there's a variety of good products. That's just the one that I happen to like. It's a little bit less allergenic to the skin as well. Now, SPF, or sun protection factor, is on most bottles of sunblock that you buy. SPF refers to how much block of the B rays there is. And so you want to have an SPF factor of at least 15, but it doesn't need to be 100. You want to beware of sunblocks that have a very high UVB protection rating, so an SPF of 80 or so, but no A block, because UVA block is important to prevent those sunburns and the really deep red burn that you get. So you have to block A and B has to be at least 15. Now, when you're applying the sunblock, start about 30 minutes before you're going out in the sun, and then reapply every 1 hour if you're in the water, or every 2 hours if you're not going in the water. And remember, even if it's a cloudy day or a winter day, it doesn't matter what the outside temperature is, there's still exposure from being in those sun's rays. And also keep in mind that your kids really need this advice, so you'll have to prompt them and remind them, because we get 80% of our sun exposure before we turn 18. So enjoy the sun, have a good summer, and there's a few ways to protect your skin in the meantime. Thank you.